Why do we wave at strangers who weren't waving at us, or whisper in libraries like we're hiding state secrets? Human social behavior is a beautiful mess of instincts, glitches, and pure nonsense. In today's countdown, we're diving into the weirdest, most illogical things people do every single day without questioning it. Let's get right into it. Number 15. Fake laughing at unfunny jokes. You're trapped. Someone tells a joke so painfully unfunny it might qualify as a human rights violation, and yet your brain forces out a fake little ha-ha, the audio equivalent of a sympathy card. This is performative laughter, and it makes zero sense. Why are you rewarding someone for joke crimes? Why is your face pretending your ears didn't just suffer? Simple social survival. Laughing is one of the most contagious behaviors in human psychology. Even fake laughter triggers real bonding chemicals like endorphins. So your body's like, sure, the joke was as funny as a tax audit, but we must preserve the relationship. It's not about humor, it's about keeping things smooth. The kicker, the person who told the joke probably knows it wasn't funny, but your laugh gives them a tiny dopamine hit and now they think they're a stand-up comic. Congratulations, you've enabled the next terrible punchline. It's a vicious cycle. And sure, maybe fake laughing isn't the end of the world, but if you've ever laughed so hard at a bad joke you started questioning your morals, you're not alone. You're just playing along with the weirdest social improv game of all time. And scene. Number 14. Saying no worries when you are, in fact, very worried. Someone bumps into you, spills a drink, shows up 45 minutes late to a meeting that required your soul, and you smile and say, no worries. Except there are worries, many. Your inner monologue is typing in all caps. You have a worry buffet happening internally, anxiety appetizers, anger entrees, and a side dish of passive aggression. But socially, you swallow it down with two magic words, no worries. This is emotional suppression wrapped in a Hallmark card. You're not saying it because you believe it. You're saying it because being chill is the default setting of modern politeness. It's like, I am experiencing a micro-betrayal, but I will now package that up with a bow and pretend it was a hug. The irony is, saying no worries doesn't actually eliminate the worry, it just delays it. You'll be reliving that moment in the shower 3 weeks from now, wondering why you didn't just say, actually, that was kind of a big deal. But again, our social wiring is focused on smoothing over conflict, not confronting it. We're trained to value harmony, even if it means emotionally eating glass. So if no worries is your go-to phrase, just know, you're not fooling anyone, especially yourself. But hey, it keeps the conversation moving, and that's what really matters, right? Insert nervous laughter. Number 13. Pretending to understand what someone just said. You're in a conversation. Someone mumbles, uses a weird phrase, or drops a reference so obscure it might be from an alien sitcom. You didn't catch it, not even close. But instead of saying, sorry, what like a normal functional adult, you just nod, smile, maybe toss in a soft, yeah, totally. Congratulations, you've just entered the uncomfortable bluff Olympics. This bizarre little behavior makes no logical sense, and yet it's practically universal. You'd rather fake comprehension than risk the social horror of asking for clarification twice, or, heaven forbid, 3 times. After that, the conversation self-destructs out of shame. Psychologically, it's about saving face. There's something deeply humiliating about admitting you don't understand something simple. It triggers this weird imposter syndrome spiral. Am I stupid? Do they think I'm stupid? Do I need a dictionary and a life coach? So instead, we opt for performance. We nod with the commitment of a background actor in a toothpaste commercial. We chuckle vaguely. We launch a tactical subject change faster than the CIA erasing a file. Sometimes we even repeat back what they said, hoping they'll nod and confirm. But if they don't, oh boy. Now you've just agreed to something mysterious, like joining their kombucha cult or babysitting their cat for a month. So if you've ever walked away from a conversation, smiling politely while internally screaming, what did they just say, welcome to the club? The club of polite pretenders who just wanted to avoid a second pardon. Number 12. Whispering in libraries but yelling at concerts. Let's talk volume logic, or rather, the lack of it. You walk into a library and suddenly you're whispering like the FBI is listening. You tiptoe like you're defusing a bomb, Drop a book and it's a felony. Meanwhile, at a concert, you're screaming into someone's ear like a banshee with a megaphone and zero personal boundaries. It's not just about context, it's about social expectation. Humans have this fascinating trait called situational modulation, where our behavior shifts entirely based on environmental cues. A quiet space triggers quiet behavior. A loud one gives you full permission to bellow like you're summoning ancient spirits. What's absurd is how fast we switch. You can go from screaming woo at a concert to shushing a friend in a museum within 15 minutes, like your vocal cords have a mood ring. But here's the funny part half the time. It's not about actual noise levels, it's about perceived appropriateness. A quiet conversation in a library feels louder than it is, while shouting over music at a concert feels normal because everyone else is doing it. It's herd logic for your lungs. So next time you find yourself whispering an urgent life update like I think my appendix is exploding just because you're in a quiet cafe, remember, your voice is a social chameleon, and it makes about as much sense as yelling free bird during a violin solo. Number 11, holding the door for someone too far away. You spot someone approaching, they're maybe 15 meters back, which is just enough time to hesitate, make eye contact, and panic. Do you hold the door and make them awkwardly sprint like it's an Olympic trial, or do you let it close and feel like the human embodiment of a locked car? You pick the polite route, you hold it, they jog. It's the most stressful 3.8 seconds of both your lives. This is social altruism mixed with bad spatial math. Your brain tries to calculate how long they'll take to reach the door and whether your kindness will be appreciated or punished, but it never gets the math right. Ever. Because we're not logical door-holding robots, we're guilt-driven people-pleasers with zero timing skills. And here's the kicker once you commit. There's no turning back. You are now a door sentinel. You must stand there, gripping that handle like you've taken a vow. The person sees you, and now they panic. They speed up. Their walk turns into a weird half-trot that says, I don't want to be rude, but also please stop looking at me. Why do we do this? It's a social ritual, a micro-display of kindness that says, I acknowledge your existence in this chaotic meat parade we call society. But the logistics, a disaster. There is no ideal distance. No universally accepted radius of door holding. It's a chaotic mess of human miscommunication wrapped in politeness and hamstring strain. Number 10, pretending you know someone's name when you don't. You see someone you definitely recognize, maybe from work, maybe from that one birthday party 7 years ago where you sat next to the guacamole for 2 hours, but here they are smiling, waving, and saying your name like it's written on your forehead. And you panic. You say, hey, you in that overly enthusiastic tone that screams, I have no idea who you are, but I'm too far in to admit it now. This is a classic social bluff. You fake your way through the interaction with a game of context clues, hoping they'll casually mention their own name or literally anything that might jog your memory. A workplace, a dog's name, a favorite salad. It's social roulette, and you're spinning the wheel with every sentence. Why does this happen? Well, your brain categorizes names separately from faces, so you can absolutely remember someone's entire life story, their weird laugh, their favorite color, the time they accidentally called the boss mom, and still have no idea what to call them. But socially, admitting you forgot their name feels like dropping a plate in a silent room. So you fake it. You nod. You call them buddy or champ or queen depending on the vibe. And if they bring up your name first, that's psychological blackmail. They've now asserted dominance. You either guess wrong and ruin the illusion, or stall long enough to find their name tagged in an old Instagram post. Either way, your dignity takes the hit. Number 9, asking how are you and not listening to the answer. Let's be honest when you ask someone, how are you? You don't actually want to know. You're just tossing a socially accepted sound into the air like a verbal handshake. And when they say, good, thanks, you nod and move on. Script complete, side quest over. But every now and then, someone breaks the code. They say something real, like, honestly, not great. My cat's in the hospital and I just found out I might be allergic to emotions. And now you're standing there, holding your metaphorical grocery bag of awkwardness, praying for a meteor. We've turned, how are you, into this weird emotional boomerang that no one's actually catching. It's like asking, what's the meaning of life while already walking away? Psychologically, this is called aphatic expressions, a term for communication that's not meant to convey information, just to maintain social bonds. Kind of like saying, what's up when you don't care what's actually up. So why do we do it? Because silence is terrifying, especially in elevators or when you're both waiting for your lattes. So your brain throws out a line to keep things socially oiled, even if you don't mean it, even if the whole interaction is about as deep as a kiddie pool. And the moment someone takes the question seriously, your entire programming crashes like a Windows 98 computer trying to open 37 tabs at once. Now you're stuck in a conversation that requires empathy and eye contact when you were just trying to survive the checkout line. So yeah, how are you? Is the social version of knocking on a door you hope no one opens. Number 8, avoiding the person you just said goodbye to. You say goodbye, you hug, you even do the we should hang out again soon bit, and then you both walk in the same direction. Now it's a nightmare. You've already emotionally closed the tab on that social interaction, and now you're stuck in a weird post-goodbye limbo where you have to either 1. Pretend you didn't just say goodbye and start a sequel conversation, or 2. Awkwardly walk in silence like you're both ghosts who died in that parking lot. This is a prime example of a social rule colliding with spatial reality. Your brain has a script for ending an interaction. It likes things neat and tidy, a wave, a farewell, fade to black. But when the person doesn't exit stage left when they keep walking next to you, your social brain throws a tantrum like, this wasn't in the plan, abort. The options at this point limited. You can pretend you forgot something. You can speed walk like you're late for a meeting that doesn't exist. Or you can commit to the painfully long goodbye part 2, the re-conversation you both don't want but feel too polite to avoid. It's weird, it's uncomfortable, and it happens constantly. Because once again, our modern world is full of paths, hallways, parking lots, and elevators that don't care about our social timing, so instead, we suffer. One awkward stride at a time. Number 7, saying you too at the worst possible moments. Cashier, enjoy your meal. You too. And then you both just stand there, spiritually cringing. Why does your brain do this? Why does it betray you in the most socially innocent yet personally devastating moments? Here's why your brain is an efficiency machine. It hears a familiar phrase, something that sounds like the start of a routine social script, and before you can manually approve the response, it just auto-fires the default reply, like a reflex, like a chatbot with anxiety. The result, you're saying you too when someone tells you happy birthday, and it's not your birthday. Or worse, when your Uber driver says, enjoy your flight, and you say you too, knowing full well they are not flying anywhere today. And it's not just about the awkwardness, it's about the instant regret, that moment of existential freefall where your mouth finishes talking before your brain finishes loading. This is social conditioning on autopilot. We are so hardwired to reciprocate niceties that we'll do it even when it makes absolutely zero sense. Because saying something feels safer than risking a weird silence, even if that something is grammatically and contextually nonsense. So if you've ever whispered you too to a server after they told you to enjoy your soup, just know, we've all been there. We are legion, we are mortified, and we will never emotionally recover. Number 6, making eye contact with strangers for no reason. You're at the grocery store, you round the corner by the frozen peas and bam, eye contact. A solid 2.5 seconds of locked visual tension with a complete stranger. Neither of you knows what to do. Should you nod, smile, look away and pretend it never happened, or challenge them to a duel? No one knows. The worst part is when it happens again and again, like you're trapped in an accidental eye flirtation loop with someone who just wants a bag of waffle fries. This is social behavior at its most primitive. Eye contact used to be about survival. It was how you identified predators, allies, and that one weird caveman who collected teeth. Now it's just a weird tension soup, too little eye contact, and people think you're shady, too much, and you look like you're trying to hypnotize someone into giving you their yogurt. And don't even get me started on elevators, trapped in a metal box with strangers, all of you actively avoiding eye contact like it's radioactive, staring at the floor, the ceiling, the numbers, anything except each other's eyeballs. The truth is, our social instincts haven't caught up to our modern environments, so our brains keep trying to do ancient tribe bonding rituals in a Walgreens. So if you've ever made weird eye contact in public and immediately questioned your entire existence, you're not alone. You're just human, gloriously, awkwardly human. Number 5, waving at people who weren't waving at you. You're walking down the street, someone in the distance raises their hand, you wave back, smile like you just saw an old friend, and then realize they weren't waving at you. They were waving at the person behind you, or worse, at someone on FaceTime. Now you're just standing there, mid-wave, like a human Wi-Fi antenna broadcasting shame. This is one of those social misfires that haunts you for years. You can have a job, a family, and a mortgage, but your brain will wake you up at 3 a.m. Like, remember that time in 2016 when you waved at that guy and he looked at you like you were contagious? And you can't not wave because the window for confirming who they're waving at is like 0.7 seconds. Any longer and you look like you're just staring. So instead, your reflexes go full. Golden retriever, a human is engaging, must respond with joy. Psychologically, this comes from a concept called social mirroring. It's a behavior hardwired into us to create bonding and avoid social friction. Your brain sees a gesture and goes, match that vibe even when the vibe wasn't meant for you. And once you commit to the wave, there's no going back, no refund. You just have to power through and pretend you were stretching or swatting a fly or performing an impromptu interpretive dance about loneliness. So yes, sometimes your brain betrays you by waving first and checking logic later. It's like emotional autocorrect, always enthusiastic, rarely correct. Number 4, laughing when you're nervous. Okay, picture this. You're in a job interview. The recruiter says, tell me about a time you failed, and you laugh. Not because it's funny, but because your brain is experiencing a mild psychological earthquake and the only thing it knows how to do is short circuit into sitcom mode. This is nervous laughter, and it makes zero sense. Your internal logic is, I'm afraid, better start chuckling like a Disney side character. Your face smiles, your throat makes weird noises, and everyone in the room now thinks you find unemployment hilarious. Biologically, it's the nervous system trying to release stress like steam escaping a pressure cooker. Psychologically, it's your subconscious slapping a clown mask over pure existential dread. You're not laughing at the moment, you're laughing to survive through it. But socially, it gets real awkward. Nervous laughter happens at funerals, during breakups, in courtrooms, basically anywhere humor has no business existing. It shows up anyway, like an uninvited party guest with glitter and emotional confusion. You ever laugh after tripping in public? That's your brain going, quick joke now, pain later. It's self-preservation through absurdity. Bottom line, your body has a glitch that uses comedy to dodge trauma. Nervous laughter is your brain's version of whistling past a graveyard if the whistle was panic in disguise. Number 3, clapping when a plane lands. Imagine this, you're in a giant metal tube, hurtling through the sky at 900 kilometers per hour, defying every law of nature your ancestors ever believed in. You land safely. And then, a smattering of applause breaks out, as if the pilot just performed Shakespeare instead of doing his job. Don't get me wrong, we love a safe landing. We should be grateful. But clapping, what are we doing here? Rating their performance like it's Dancing with the Stars. This ritual is peak social weirdness. It's the equivalent of walking out of a dentist appointment and slow clapping the hygienist for not stabbing your gums too hard, or applauding your barista because the coffee didn't explode. And what's even weirder, not everyone does this. Some cultures treat post-landing applause like an unspoken thank you, others treat it like public embarrassment, so you end up in this half-hearted theater where 3 people clap, 12 people glance around nervously, and the rest pretend they don't know the clappers. And the pilots, they can't even hear you. They're in a soundproof cockpit trying to update their LinkedIn profile with "did not crash." So why do people do it? It's a psychological pressure valve. That awkward cocktail of fear, relief, and social energy needs somewhere to go. And since screaming "we're alive" is frowned upon, we clap. Because humans don't like tension just sitting there, we have to do something. So we pick the most illogical, mildly embarrassing group gesture possible and pretend it's totally normal. Number 2, saying bless you for sneezes but not farts. Let's be real, why do sneezes get VIP treatment? You let out a loud, involuntary nasal explosion and suddenly people are sending divine blessings your way. But if you commit the other kind of bodily betrayal, aka the backdoor trumpet, you're socially banished like you just broke a sacred law. No one says bless you when that happens. No one hands you a tissue and pats your shoulder after you crop dust a hallway. The whole bless you thing dates back to ancient times when people thought sneezing meant your soul was trying to leave your body. Which, honestly, isn't that far off if you've ever sneezed hard enough to pull a muscle. Saying bless you was like, hey, don't die. I still need help moving next weekend. But here's the part that makes zero logical sense. We still do it, even though we know better. We're no longer worried about your soul leaking out through your nose like a faulty air valve, and yet we bless. Meanwhile, a fart crickets, worse than crickets, judgmental silence. Even though both are just pressure releases from a human meat balloon, one gets sympathy, the other gets shame. In short, sneezes are socially forgiven outbursts, farts are crimes against humanity. And that, dear viewer, is how arbitrary human etiquette is. Number 1, smiling when you're miserable. You've just spilled coffee on your shirt, missed your bus, and stubbed your toe so hard it may have time traveled into another dimension. And what do when someone sees you? You smile, like a deranged cartoon character trying to pretend the house isn't on fire while it's literally on fire. This is one of those bizarre things humans do without really questioning it. Smiling when you're obviously in distress isn't a power move, it's emotional camouflage. Your brain is running damage control like, quick, smile. Maybe they won't notice your life is collapsing like a folding chair at a barbecue. Psychologists call this affective masking, which is a fancy way of saying, let's lie with our face so people don't ask questions. It's deeply social, deeply illogical, and deeply ingrained. Because in the grand tribal scheme of evolution, vulnerability was about as useful as a chocolate teapot. If you showed pain, you might get left behind, eaten by wolves, or worse, offered unsolicited advice. So instead, your ancestors beamed a big ol' I'm fine grin while their inside screamed like a horror movie violin. Modern humans inherited that glitch. We smile when we're awkward. We laugh at funerals. We say I'm good when we're emotionally held together by caffeine and denial. Basically, we treat emotions like a customer service window. How may I pretend to help you today? That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.